You know the old saying, right? Only two things in life are guaranteed.
Death and taxes.
Death and taxes.
Yeah.
We just accept them because, well, what other choice do you have? They're the absolute non-negotiable.
Right.
But just imagine for a second that we're wrong. About the first one, I mean. Imagine that aging isn't a fact of life, but a bug in the code.
A bug in the code. That is a very specific, very tech way of looking at it.
Or imagine it's a disease, a condition, something you can treat and manage and maybe cure.
Yeah.
Is that total science fiction?
Yeah.
Or is it a biological inevitability we just haven't cracked yet?
It really does sound like the opening to a sci-fi movie, doesn't it? But when you actually sit down and look at the stack of research we've got today, that line between sci-fi and reality, it's getting incredibly blurry.
Yeah.
We aren't just looking for some mythical fount of youth anymore. We're talking about engineering.
And that is exactly what we are unpacking in today's deep dive. We are going on the quest for forever. And I have to say, the source material for this one is, well, it's wild.
It's so eclectic. It really covers the whole spectrum.
We've got a biography of the futurist Ray Kurzweil, who's basically trying to hack his own body to live long enough to live forever.
Right.
And we have these really technical papers on something called biogerontology from a company, Tomorrow Bio.
Which gives us the heavy science on why we age in the first place. The actual mechanics.
Exactly. And to keep us grounded, we've even got a chemical engineering textbook in the mix. Because you can't talk about immortality without chemistry, apparently.
Well, we're just walking chemical reactions at the end of the day.
True. Plus, we've got some titles that hint at all the different ways people come at this. Everything from the 6-week cure for the middle.
Which sounds like something you'd see at the grocery store checkout.
Totally. All the way to a booklet called The Road to Eternal Life, which takes a much more philosophical, religious angle.
It's a perfect storm of biology, technology, lifestyle, and philosophy, all aimed at the same problem.
So here's the mission for this deep dive. We're going to figure out why our bodies break down. We need to understand the problem. Then we'll look at one man's really extreme plan to stop it. And finally, the ultimate backup plan.
The backup plan being freezing yourself for the future.
Or, as I'm learning, not exactly freezing.
Right. Not exactly freezing.
There's no spoilers. But let's start there with the basics. I think most of us, myself included, kind of operate on the wear and tear model of aging, you know, like a car.
Yeah.
You drive it enough miles, the tires go bald, the engine rusts. It just wears out. Is that at all accurate?
It's the intuitive answer, for sure. It's what people have thought for centuries. You use the machine breaks down, but the sources we have, especially that biogerontology material, they show it's much more complex.
So it's not just passive wearing down.
No, it's an active, very messy biological process. It's not just that parts are falling off, it's that the system is actively, sabotaging itself over time.
Before we get into that mess, can we just define biogerontology? Feels like a key term here.
It is. So standard gerontology is often about the social or psychological side of aging, caretaking. Biogerontology is strictly the mechanics.
Okay.
It's genetics, medicine, biology, all asking what is happening at the cellular level. It treats the body like a machine to do reverse engineered, not just a person getting older.
Okay, let's look under the hood. According to these papers, what are the big bads? What's actually breaking us?
There isn't just one smoking gun, but there are a few key mechanisms that researchers are focused on. And the first one actually connects really well to that chemical engineering textbook you mentioned.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called oxidative stress.
I see that term on like skin commercials all the time. Fights oxidative stress. But I've never really known what it means inside the body.
Think of it as a metabolic tax. Every time your body creates energy from food and oxygen, it produces these byproducts. They're called reactive oxygen species. ROS. And these are really unstable molecules. In chemical terms, they're missing an electron, so they are just desperate to grab one from anywhere they can. They literally tear around your cells.
Stealing electrons
from your DNA, your proteins, your cell walls. It's basically cellular theft.
Wow.
And usually your body has a cleanup crew antioxidants that neutralize these ROS. But as we age, that balance just tips. You have way too many thieves and not enough police. Damage builds up. It's almost exactly like rust forming on metal.
So we're literally rusting from the inside out.
In a way, yeah. It's a slow degradation of our most fundamental structures.
That's a terrifying image. Okay, what's next on the hit list?
The second big one is something that's gotten a lot of press, telomeres.
Ah, yes. The shoelace thing. I feel like I've heard this analogy.
It's the best one we have. Telomeres are these little protective caps at the very end of your chromosomes, like the plastic tip on a shoelace that stops it from fraying.
Right.
But here's the catch. Every single time your cells divide to make new ones, those caps get a tiny bit shorter.
So it's a countdown clock.
It's absolutely a countdown clock. Eventually, the telomeres get too short to protect the DNA inside. And when that happens, the cell gets a signal.
Stop dividing.
Stop dividing. You're done. You retire. And this leads to what I think is the single best term in the entire literature: zombie cells.
I saw this. Cellular senescence. But zombie cells is so much catchier.
It's actually scientifically perfect. When a cell stops dividing because of that telomere shortening, it doesn't always die politely. It enters this senescent or zombie state.
It's not dead, but it's not really alive and working either.
Exactly, it's undead. It just sits there taking up space. But it's a toxic zombie. It pumps out these inflammatory chemicals that damage all the healthy, functioning cells around it. So you get this buildup of useless, toxic junk cluttering up your tissues and making everything else sick.
Okay, so we've got internal rusting, fraying DNA shoelaces, and toxic zombies. Kind of amazing we make it past 40.
It really is. And to top it off, the sources talk about immunosenescence, which is just a fancy way of saying your immune system gets old too.
So the army gets weaker.
The army gets weaker, slower, and more forgetful. That's why a flu you'd shrug off at 20 can be a huge deal at 80. The defenses are down.
Okay, that's a whole lot of bad news. But the sources also say that not everyone ages the same way. There's a genetic component here, right?
Absolutely. We aren't all dealt the same hand. The research points to specific longevity genes, things like FOXX3 and APOE.
And there was one, RRT1, that seemed really important.
SIRT1 is a huge star in longevity research. It's a gene that's involved in DNA repair and metabolism. The theory is, if you can activate it, you might be able to kick those repair processes into a higher gear.
Which brings up the whole nature versus nurture thing. If I don't have the good genes, am I just out of luck? Or is that where epigenetics comes from?
That's the silver lining here. Epigenetics is all about how your behaviors and your environment can change the way you work. Think of your DNA as a piano. You can't change the keys you were born with. But epigenetics is the sheet music. You can change which keys are played, how loudly, and when.
So lifestyle, diet, exercise, stress, that's the piano player.
Exactly. You can't change the hardware, but you can definitely update the software. And that is the perfect segue to the man who has taken updating the software to a whole new level.
We have to talk about Ray Kurzweil.
The legend himself.
I went down such a rabbit hole on his Wikipedia page for this.
Yeah.
I think people know him as the singularity guy from Google, but his backstory as an inventor is just incredible.
Oh, he's a powerhouse. The source mentions he wrote a paper on the neocortex at age 14.
14. I was trying to figure out how to parallel park at 14. He's theorizing about the brain.
And building computers at 12. But what I love is how practical his inventions were. Did you see the story about Stevie Wonder?
Yes. My favorite anecdote in the whole stack. It's 1982. He's talking to Stevie Wonder.
Right. And Stevie is just complaining that electronic synthesizers at the time sounded awful. You know, like beeps and boops, not like real instruments.
He wanted a machine that could sound like a real grand piano.
So Kurzweil doesn't just say, oh, that's too bad. He goes and invents the Kurzweil K250.
Which was revolutionary. It sounded so real that professional musicians couldn't tell the difference in blind tests.
It just shows he's not just a dreamer. He is a hardcore engineer who solves problems. And then you fast forward to his job at Google.
The one-sentence job description. I love this.
To bring natural language understanding to Google. That's it.
What a flex. But what really drives his obsession with life extension is his core philosophy, this law of accelerating returns.
Let's unpack that because it's key to his whole worldview.
It sounds like an economics term.
It does, but it's really about the pace of technology. Most people think progress is linear,
No.
a steady climb. Kurzweil says, no, it's exponential.
The curve goes vertical.
Exactly. Every new tool we build helps us build the next tool faster and better.
Right.
We went from the first flight to landing on the moon in 66 years. He argues the next 66 years will make that jump look like nothing.
And he believes this is all hurtling towards the singularity, the moment when machine intelligence merges with our own and becomes, well, almost godlike.
But here's the catch, and the whole reason for his intense regimen. The singularity might be coming in, say, 2045.
But if you die in 2040, you miss the party.
You miss the boat. That is the entire crux of his strategy. He calls his current body a bridge. He knows it's imperfect, he knows it's rusting and full of zombie cells. He just needs to keep this bridge standing long enough for the technology to arrive to rebuild it permanently.
Live long enough to live forever.
That's the motto.
And his maintenance plan for this bridge is, it makes a keto diet look like child's play.
That is putting it mildly.
So the source says at age 35, he gets diagnosed with glucose intolerance, basically early type 2 diabetes. That's his wake-up call.
He teams up with a doctor, Terry Grossman, and they just treat his body like it's a computer system to be debugged.
And in 2007, he was taking, what was the number?
250. 250 different supplements every day.
250. That's not a supplement routine, that's a meal. You'd be full just from the capsules.
He did optimize it down to about 100 pills a day by 2015, which is still a lot. And it's not just pills, it's 8 to 10 glasses of alkaline water, green tea, red wine.
He talks about it like he's reprogramming his biochemistry. He really uses these computer metaphors for everything.
And to be fair, he tracks everything. He's not just guessing. He's constantly monitoring his biomarkers and adjusting the inputs.
I think the natural reaction here is, okay, this sounds like a rich guy who's afraid of dying. But then you look at his track record, the source mentions he did a review of his own predictions.
And claimed an 86% accuracy rate. And this got some big hits. He predicted the fall of the Soviet Union would be driven by new tech, like cell phones and fax machines that broke down centralized control.
Which was a wild thing to predict in the 80s.
He predicted a computer would beat a human at chess by the year 2000. Deep Blue did it in 97.
So when a guy with that record says, I think I can live forever if I take enough pills, you have to at least pause and listen.
You have to listen, but you also have to remember he operates on a different level. He talks about solving problems in a lucid, dreamlike state.
I saw that. He thinks about a problem before bed, and then the solution comes to him in that half-awake state in the morning.
Right. But even Kurzweil knows that the pills might not be enough. Biology is messy. What if the rust and the zombies get him before the singularity arrives?
Then he has Plan B, or maybe Plan Z cryonics.
Right. He's a member of the Alcor Life Extension Foundation. And our source from Tomorrow Bio gives us the technical details. And the first thing to know is, it's not just freezing.
Right, because if you just freeze a strawberry, it turns to mush when you thaw it.
Exactly. Water expands when it freezes and forms these sharp ice crystals. If you did that to a human body, you'd shred every cell membrane. Catastrophic damage.
You'd be preserving a body, but destroying all the information inside it.
Precisely. So to get around the ice problem, they use a process called vitrification.
Which means turning into glass.
Basically, yeah. A glass-like solid state. The process is intense. As soon as the patient is legally declared dead, the team rushes in. They replace the water and blood with cryoprotectants.
Medical-grade antifreeze.
Good way to put it. Then they cool the body down rapidly to negative 196 degrees Celsius in liquid nitrogen. Because of the antifreeze, the fluid doesn't form ice crystals, it just becomes a solid, suspended state. It locks everything in place.
Biostasis, pausing biological time.
Exactly. You're not dead in the sense of being gone, you're paused. You're waiting for a future technology that can wake you up, repair the damage, and cure whatever killed you.
I have to mention the marketing detail that cracked me up. That source from Tomorrow Bio, they had a Black Friday deal.
I saw that. 50% off membership fees forever.
Nothing says escaping the finality of death like a Black Friday discount. It really grounds it in the fact that this is a business.
It is. A very expensive one. And they're super careful with their promises. The source has a huge disclaimer.
What does it say?
That cryopreservation only provides a chance for revival. There are absolutely no guarantees. We've never actually revived a human from this state.
So it's a lottery ticket, an incredibly expensive lottery ticket.
That's the logic. It's Pascal's wager for the tech world. If you don't do it, your chances are zero. If you do it, they're slightly more than zero.
Okay, so let's zoom out. We've looked at the problem, the biological rust. We've looked at the interventions, Kurzweil's pills, and the cryonics backup. When you put all these sources together, what's the big picture here?
For me, it shows humanity attacking this single ancient problem from every possible angle. The titles in our stack just spell it out.
Okay.
You have the biogerontology material, that's the biological road. Let's hack the cells. Then you have Kurzweil.
The technological road.
Yeah.
Merge with the machine.
Exactly. Then you have the 6-week cure for the middle. That's the lifestyle road, the things we can do right now.
And the booklet, The Road to Eternal Life.
The spiritual road. It just shows that this isn't some niche science topic. It is a core human obsession. And it forces us to rethink our most basic definition.
What do you mean by that?
Well, think about the definition of death. We see it as a switch. You're on, then you're off. Alive, then dead.
Right. It's a final event.
But these technologies, they treat death as a process, or even as a treatable condition. If you're vitrified, you aren't legally alive, but you're not biologically gone either. You're in this gray area, this pause.
It changes everything. If we take away that deadline, does life lose its urgency? If you have 1,000 years to write a novel, do you ever actually start?
Kurzweil would argue it opens up possibilities we can't even imagine. He sees the human body as obsolete hardware. He wants the upgrade. He thinks that with enough time, intelligence can solve any problem. Energy, space, everything.
It's the ultimate optimism. The belief that no problem is truly unsolvable.
It turns science fiction into a series of engineering problems. And engineering problems usually have solutions.
So let's wrap this up. We've gone from the microscopic rusting of ourselves,
The oxidative stress and fraying telomeres,
to a man who invents musical instruments for Stevie Wonder and predicts the future in his dreams.
and who builds a bridge of supplements to carry him to a future where maybe nanobots finish the job for him.
And if that bridge collapses, there's a tank of liquid nitrogen waiting to catch him. A quest for forever that is happening right now in labs and pharmacies all over the world.
It's a reminder that what we consider natural is really just the current state of our technology.
Wow, that's a wild thought to end on. Kurzweil believes any problem can be overcome. And if his law of accelerating returns is true, things are going to get very weird very fast.
Indeed.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on. We always talk about this in the future tense. One day, people will live to be 1,000. But if the science is accelerating exponentially, the first person to live to 1,000 might not be some future descendant.
They could be alive right now.
They could be walking around today. It changes how you look at your own health, doesn't it? If you could just hang on for another 20 or 30 years, you might just make the cut.
The first 1,000-year-old human might be listening to this deep dive right now.
Is it you?
Only time, a lot of it, hopefully, will tell.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you in the future.